Okay, thanks for joining us. We're going to go straight to questions for Coach Dykes.
Coach, do you like Friday night games?
Not really. I mean, the reason I don't is because of high school football. I don't necessarily mind the idea, other than the impact it has on high school football, and especially in Texas, and kind of what a strong tradition and everything. So that's probably my issue with it. I certainly understand why the Big 12 does it. It's about exposure and opportunities, and so it's a chance for us to be on ESPN. There'll be a lot of people to watch the game. That's good for our players. I think it matters to those guys. But again, I certainly don't like the impact it has on high school football.
It also impacts recruiting.
It does a little bit. Yeah, it's weird. There's enough. I've talked to a bunch of recruits this week. There's enough Thursday night high school football games now where we're actually going to have a really good group of recruits at the game Friday. So, it kind of worked out that way. Or people have open dates. It's kind of a big week for high schools and some of the open dates. So I don't know that it was necessarily that bad of a thing for us.
Coach, we saw Nandy go out in the game against Kansas. Is he okay?
Practice today. So that was good news. I was a little bit concerned, just where the injury, took place and kind of how he felt and everything. But he didn't feel great on Sunday, and he felt really good on Monday in practice today and full practice. So excited about him and optimistic that he'll play Friday.
What stands out to you about Houston so far?
Well, I think number one, I'm impressed with how hard they're playing. I think they play hard every single snap, regardless of what's going on in the game. I'm very impressed with their special teams. They have a very dangerous kick returner, very dangerous punt returner. So those have certainly been a major point of emphasis for us this week. So that's something that that they're elite at. Guys have made plays. They've played really good defense. I mean, they're very good statistically defensively. They're not giving up many points. Their defensive front is big and physical, and those guys eat up a lot of space inside. They've got a lot of speed on the back end. And to me, they've had some bad things happen to them on offense. I mean, it seems like anytime they get a big play, they've had a penalty. Anytime they string together a drive, it seems like they'll have a turnover. It just seems like they've kind of had things that have happened to them that have negatively affect their ability to score points. Because when you put the film on and you just watch them, they look. I mean, they're good. I mean, they do some great things. I mean, the quarterback is big and strong and can throw and moves around well. I think their offensive line is much improved over the last several weeks. They've got good skill, just like you would expect them to. I think the receiver, Manjack, is a really good player. Reminds me a lot of Jack Besh. He's got good size. He really competes hard for the football. He runs better than you think he does. They've got a couple of big transfer tight ends that can move and make plays. And so, I mean, it's a good football team. And, you look at them against Oklahoma. I mean, really, they kind of dominated that football game, really, against Oklahoma. Kind of dominated the line of scrimmage. And so, they're very, very capable, a very dangerous football team.
How much does it help at all with Dana being here now, being that he was there last year and probably knows a lot of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly helps. Now, I think they have 63 new players. So most of their roster, I think it's more new players than any other program. So, there's some guys, obviously the quarterback, obviously Manjack, obviously, a couple of guys here and there. But, most of the guys are new, and a lot of them are several of them, the impact guys are kind of Willie's guys that came with him, a couple from Tulane that are really good players. So, helps a little bit, but I don't know that it's going to, maybe not as much as people think.
They swapped out quarterbacks a bunch last week.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
They're different. Yeah, they're different. One's a runner and one's a little bit more kind of both, but they're both capable of running. I think that's the thing that stands out is is, one's a big, powerful runner, the other is a little bit more elusive. But, I think what they're going to want to do is establish the run game. And I think that's going to be something that they're going to do. And both quarterbacks can run. And, when you have a running quarterback, it presents problems just because you have, the offense has numbers advantage and when the quarterback's carrying the ball. So I would expect we'll see both, this week. I think we're prepared to see both.
You talked about after the Saturday game against Kansas about the improvement on defense.
Yeah.
What have you worked on this week?
Yeah, it's just the big thing for us is just continuing to get fundamentally sound, play more disciplined. I think when we've just got to fit things properly. And when we do that, we're fine. You know what I mean? I think when we get our eyes in the right places and we play with the kind of discipline that you have to play with, we can be a good defensive unit. The thing I think with us at times is we'll, all of a sudden, we'll start looking in the backfield a little too much and give something up here and there. And I thought we did a really good job, as I said, at adjusting during that game, just in terms of getting the guys settled in and kind of figuring out, okay, here's what they're trying to do to us and here's how we can attack it. And the big thing for us is just continuing to improve. We still have a new system that our players are learning. I expect us to continue to make big jumps. I think we certainly made a big jump, again, from the first quarter to the way we played the rest of the game last week. And I think we'll make a big jump this week. And, that's what you want to try to do is just make sure you get better. And I think that's what I like about this team, is we look like a different football team now than we did several weeks ago. And the reason we do is because the guys practice so hard, they work so hard, they prepare so well that it starts to show up in the games. Now we're nowhere near where we want to be, but we are making progress.
Your paths, you and Willie Fritz's paths are kind of similar.
Right.
You look at that every
Yeah. I mean, look, he was the head coach at Blinn Junior College when I was the running back coach at Navarro Junior College, and they had really good teams. I mean, they had Michael Bishop and Quincy Morgan, and they had some dudes at Blinn back then. And so, we've played against each other a lot. 2 years back then, I think in 95, 96, 4 years when I was at SMU and he was at Tulane. So, I mean, there's, we've played against each other quite a bit. And we both have kind of, started in small colleges and worked our way up. And I think that I have a lot of respect for Willie. To me, our profession's interesting because you've got, some guys that kind of fall into things, and which is kind of the way it happens sometimes in this profession. You fall into something and at a really good place and you have a lot of success, and that's kind of the way it is. And then other guys work their way up, and Willie, has worked his way up, and I have tremendous respect for him. He's got a system that he believes in. He knows what he's doing. His guys are always going to play hard. That's the trademark of his teams, and I think that's, and the way I see it, the best compliment you can give somebody is that their team's always going to play hard. I just think that means that they are running the right kind of program, have the right kind of discipline within the program, have the right kind of culture, all the stuff, because when you play hard all the time, it gives you a chance to win. And Willie's had to go and build football programs everywhere he's been, and he's having to do the same thing at Houston now. And I would imagine he'll end up having the same kind of success there that he's had everywhere else.
Coach, we saw the emergence of Jeremy Payne last week. Could we be seeing more of him this week?
Yeah. I think you'll see more of Jeremy. I think it's like anything else. You want those young players to you want it's kind of a process. The way you do it is they get an opportunity, and then it's like, okay, they either show to you, to the coaching staff, to their teammates, okay, I'm going to do things the right way. You can trust me. Then you get a little bigger role, a little bigger role, a little bigger role, and then if they're successful within the role, then all of a sudden they've got a bigger role in the team. And I think, we saw enough from Jeremy week after week after week, day after day after day in practice, where you say, okay, this guy, he knows what to do. He knows how to do it. He's going to go hard. He's going to protect the football. He's going to do the things that you have to do to get an opportunity to play. And then all of a sudden he started making some plays the other day. So his role will certainly get bigger and bigger as he continues to play well, hopefully.
You also made a few changes on the offensive line, defensive
Yeah.
line last week. now that you've had time to go back and watch, how do you?
Yeah, it helped us a little bit. I thought Ben Whitfield really played well. Made some mistakes, but he's playing really hard, and he's really trying to play physical. I thought he played with an edge, and I think that's what we got to do up front. Like I said, made some mistakes. I mean, he's a young player, but I loved his effort, loved his attitude. Like I said, loved the way he tried to finish. So I was really pleased with him. Thought up front defensively it was good. We were able to, felt like we needed to get a little bit more ability to move and so went with some young guys. Thought Marcus Steele really played well. I think Marcus has an opportunity to be a very good player. He's still learning, still a young guy, but has the size and the explosiveness and is learning how to be consistent every day in his approach, learning how to play through some injuries and things that you have to do at that position. You're going to get beat up as a defensive or offensive lineman, and there's a mentality that you have to develop that allows you to practice every day through things and learn the difference between something hurting and something being injured. And I think that's part of the process. And I think Marcus is headed to a good place, and I'm excited to continue to watch him grow and develop.
Shane got a lot more reps on Saturday.
Yeah.
What you guys see from him?
Yeah, I thought he played well. I think that, obviously everybody knows we're down 2 corners. And I thought LJ played really well. Probably wasn't JT's best game. And so I thought Channing kind of came in and got an opportunity and exactly did what we talked about with Jeremy earlier. He's a guy that we can trust, competed really hard, played with good technique, tackled well. And I think there's a good little competition going on with those guys. And I think, excited about Devondre McGee as well and his ability and some of the things he brings to the table as a young corner. So like the group, and the guys have to continue to get better. JT is a really good player, just probably didn't play his best Saturday. We talked about it. He played as well as you could play against Stanford, against one of the best receivers in the country, and really he's the only guy that slowed him down. And so he's just got to take that confidence and that he has from that game and continue to build off of it.
Coach, are you kind of managing Limmerman, or is there some concern there? Or?
No, not really. I think he's probably a little tired. I think we've had to kick off a lot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But he's a young guy, and we have a lot of confidence in him. We really do, and I think that we just got to make sure that he's fresh as he goes into the games, and that and I think we've got to get to where we're kicking the ball out of the end zone, on kickoffs like we were early in the year. That's going to really be a factor for us moving forward. And then he's just got to get a little bit more consistent in the field goals.
Yeah, because I was thinking he kicks one out of bounds.
Yeah.
And then you got him on the ground early.
Yeah.
And then enough back at.
Yeah. The thing with us, I think we're, and again, it's not a bad thing. I think we're averaging 8 kickoffs a game, and so it's a lot of kicks, and that's a lot of coverage. It's a lot of, again, it's a good problem to have, but
Which is why you make a punt it again on the penalty.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You run down once. And then.
exactly, yeah, and so it's a lot of wear and tear on everybody and mileage, and it's a lot of wear and tear on your kicker as well. So we're just trying to manage that.
I just was McCashel involved at all?
Yeah. There's a chance you could see him some this week just to take a little bit of burden off of Kyle.
Coach, you've had some really talented quarterbacks, receivers in your career.
Yep.
How does this group you have now with Josh and those guys kind of compare to what you coached before?
Well, it's early still, but you start to see the things that you like to see, just where so much of it has to do with preparation between that quarterback and the receivers, just the amount of work that it takes for all those guys to get on the same page. It takes time, it takes a lot of work, it takes consistency, and so it's fun when you kind of see it start to come together. There is kind of a little bit of a magic that takes place when 2 guys are really on the same page, kind of like they are right now, between Josh and Jack. But it's still early. Like I said, I think that we can continue to get a lot better. I mean, we're so much better now than we were 2 weeks ago. And, you know, I'm going to be excited to see where we're going to be in 2 more weeks, hopefully. And so that's what I like, is the fact that there is, you know, improvement with really, obviously with Jack and with John Paul and really across the board, with Eric starting to get more comfortable, you know, and then Savion is going to have a big game hopefully this week and kind of get back going. So, I mean, we're far from a finished product, but I like the guys. I do, like I said, I do think we're getting close to being, you know, pretty good at throwing and catching.
So UNLV's quarterback is support because of the NIL.
Yeah, yep.
Are you worried about that being, is that a unique situation? Are you worried about that maybe becoming more common?
Yeah, I mean, that's college football now. I mean, it's a disaster, you know, I mean, and I get how we got here. You know, like I said, I don't have a problem with, you know, I've said it over and over and over again. I mean, we need to make this thing about the players as much as we can and as player friendly as we can and reward the guys. Like I said, no one's coming to watch me coach. I promise you, they're coming to watch those guys play. And so, you know, we've got to figure out a way to take care of everybody. And the thing about it is, you know, these things happen so fast, and it's college football's fault. We stuck their head in the sand forever, and you know, and they wouldn't adjust, wouldn't adapt until basically the courts made them do it. And this is what you end up with. You end up with chaos if you don't evolve. And so I understand why it's the way it is. It's disappointing for everybody. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what happened there. You know, I'm like you guys. I've kind of heard. At first, I was like, well, how could that quarterback do that? And then I heard, well, then he was supposed to get paid. He didn't get paid. And then I heard that may not, you know. So I don't know what the truth is. I don't know that anybody does. You know, you hate it for the other 119 guys on the team. You know what I mean? Now, it looked like they didn't miss a beat. They scored 59 points last week and won the game. So you know how it is. Sometimes as you go through life, you find out that you're easier to replace than you think you are. And I'm not saying that's the case necessarily in this situation, but you know, so I don't really know. You know, you wish you knew more about it, and that way you could have a real opinion. But it's not good for the game. I mean, when you have this thing play out in the public, it's not good for the quarterback. It's not good for UNLV. It's not good for anybody. And I do think that you know, there's got to be a way to protect the student athlete and to be able to protect the teams as well. And, you know, and so we've got to figure out what that model looks like, because we don't have it right now.
So it looked like Coach Avalos moved down to the sideline.
He did, yeah, yep.
Is that going to be the way to move forward?
Yeah, I think at least in the meantime, I felt like that we just, Ian and I talked about it, and I just felt like that it was important for him to be able to look those guys in the eyes, and he felt the same way, and you know, communicate with them. And so anyway, that's what he's going to do for now, and we'll kind of see how it plays out.
Who went up? Or did anybody?
Nobody. No, we kind of kept it the same. Yeah,
We'll go 2 more questions.
we already had some guys up, obviously.
Coach, is there more of an emphasis moving forward? Are you hoping to get the tight ends more involved?
Yeah, we'd like to. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting. They don't have quite the numbers that any of us thought they would have at this stage of the year. You know, I think that part of that has been, you know, Besh's emergence. Part of it's been we've kind of missed some opportunities when we've had them, you know, and we got to play a little bit better at times in there. And, you know, but I do think that those guys are going to get opportunities to make plays, and it's a good group. I mean, I like the room. Obviously, Chase getting hurt, you know, is a big blow for us. But, you know, but DJ is one of those guys that we've just kind of kept waiting for him to, you know, to play to his potential. And I think he's getting more reps, and, you know, is still continuing to mature. And I think he's certainly capable of a lot. And then, you know, Drake is the same way. I mean, I've been really impressed with Drake in particular, his improvement as an attached tight end blocking on the line of scrimmage. He's gotten a lot better doing that. That probably wasn't necessarily his strength And he's really worked hard to address that weakness and has gotten much better. So I think those guys their role will continue to get bigger and bigger, I think, as the season rolls on. In terms of just, getting catches.
Final one?
All right, thank y'all. See you Friday night.